Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mornings with the Outlaw this morning here on a lovely Friday morning here in Los Angeles, California, wherever you are living at right now and self-quarantining and self-isolating. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come and join me this morning. Have a little fun with me. We're gonna go till about 9:50, 9:55 maybe at the latest. Christian texted me this morning, said he wants me on SEN Live. So right after this show is over, I will just simply stay in my seat and be on SCN Live for a couple hours with the crew over there, just letting you know that. But the big news for today, for Mornings with the Outlaw, I'm incredibly excited to be welcoming Jeff Sneider onto the show today. A little bit later on in the program, he's going to come in. You know, Snyder's he's not an early riser, so he likes to get as much sleep as possible. So he'll be in a little bit later today, joining me to talk all the stuff that's going on in the world of entertainment and in the world of his life and what he's been doing without being able to break too many scoops and things of that nature. But also, he's had access to TV shows that are coming out a little bit later on in the year, later on in the summer, and later on in the year. And he's going to, whatever he can talk about without breaking the embargo, he will. So that'll be fun for you all to listen to and hear from Jeff. Plus, we'll have questions for you all. I mean, you will answer your questions as well and go back and forth. So please remember, the Super Chats are on. The Streamlabs are on. I should probably go to the Streamlabs now and set that up. And not set that up, but log into it. It's always a thing. Let me see here. Let me log into it so they don't get too upset. It's always different between the Safari and the Google Chrome. It's two different looks. So you always have to kind of adjust it to that. So let's see here. Yeah. All right. So first of all, let's give some love to the people who signed up here on the Outlaw Nation YouTube channel. We have so many people over the last 24 hours that have signed up. Discount Tools signed up. The _ Watchers signed up. Musty Quizzle signed up. JMZ1121. Cam Lynch. Agrafino Edgerlin, The Delusionator, Hunter Emmett, Serge Van Steen, and Rafael Lucha, all subscribe to the Outlaw Nation channel. If you're watching for the first time or you've been watching for a little bit some of the content that I put on here and you haven't subscribed yet, I can't encourage you enough to please do so. Hit that subscribe button right there below you before we start this whole thing off. And trust me, you're going to go a wealth of content from the Outlaw Nation channel with some stuff coming down the pike. I've already kind of started working on the Star Wars show that I'm going to be announcing very, very soon. I think things are starting to slowly peak. I think studios are starting to peak out a little bit to see what's coming down. We've got some Star Wars news on the show today as well. So those are the kinds of things that I will definitely be doing. It'll be a weekly show. It'll probably be just a half an hour show. It'll be a pre-recorded show. And then maybe every month, once a month, we'll do a Q&A show, a live Q&A show, that kind of stuff. So it'll be all over the place in that way. So let's see. Hold on. Let me see what we've got here. Oh, my girlfriend is watching right now live where she's at. So shout out to her. Thank you so much for joining me, honey. I appreciate it. And everyone, please take the time to wish the Lady Outlaw a belated happy birthday. She might be in the chat. She might be watching. So give her some love in that way. And let's say hi to everybody who's in here this morning. And I'm sure she'll have some notes about my lighting. So if I get up to adjust the lighting, just know that it's her suggestion. So love you, honey. All right. Rick Morris is in here. Andrew G is in here. MK Songbird, thank you so much. Haskell, always good to see you, my man. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. The Last Sith, yes. Hello. Let's see. As you can tell, my voice is still coming in. Marie Zambeno, good to see you again, Marie. She said, happy Friday, everyone. Really need this today. It's been a rough week at work. Sad there was no show Wednesday, but things happen and we're all here now. Absolutely. Chris Hall is in here. What's up, Chris? Appreciate you stopping by, my man. See who else is rolling through. Andy Burnett, good to see you, Andy. Happy time zone, my man. Matthew Marceau, good morning. Thanks for jumping in. Mike Brower is in here. Ronnie Padilla is in here. Henok Gebrgergers. I hope I'm saying that right. Gebrgergers. I hope I said that right. There you go. Queen George Jim, good to see you again. Dan Layson, hello, my man. Ronnie Padilla, what's up, Ronnie? Good to see you. Travis Ware, what's up? Jake Yakoveta is in here moderating as well. Please give him some love. Jake did a wonderful job with a thumbnail for Jeff Sneider there, both of us with our arms folded, looking like badasses on that thing. So thank you again, Jake, for that wonderful fun thumbnail. Reagan Lovig, what's up, Reagan? Good to see you, my man. Team Rocha, I appreciate that. Jeremiah Fuertes, what's up, Outlaw? What's up, Jeremiah? Good to see you. STEM W616, glad we get the Outlaw back on SEN later today. Good morning, Outlaw and Outlaw Nation. Happy Friday and all that good stuff. Same to you, my man. Same to you. Donek, what's up? Good to see you as well, Donek. Sean Barreto, good morning, Outlaw. Had a great time yesterday hanging with the Outlaw. No, don't worry about it, man. I appreciate it. And thanks for your Patreon message. I meant to respond back last night, but prepping the shows for today and everything I got to do today. So, but yes, Sean, I got your message. Thank you. And for those of you who don't know what Sean is referencing, last night I had my first ever Hanging with the Outlaw show on for my patrons, $5 and up. You get to sit down with me for like an hour and we shoot the shit about whatever you want to talk about: entertainment, news, sports, politics, professional wrestling, whatever comes up, we talk about it. Had about 10 of y'all in there last night. Would love to get more of y'all who are $5 and up patrons of the Outlaw Nation. So please go over to the Outlaw Nation Patreon. You see it down there, www.patreon.com/John Rocha, to join the Patreon for me. And there's going to be a lot coming down, not just the Hangouts. I also did a verbal one, not an audio one, rather, not a on camera one. On Wednesday as well for people. So that was a lot of fun. And then eventually I'll probably doing those more and more, but eventually we're doing watch alongs, Q&As. You guys can help me train for Ethan Irwin. I think the Schmoedown is, going to be starting up. We got those exhibition matches that Christian's kicking around, but I think those real matches are going to start kicking in a little bit later on. So I'm ready. I'm excited for it. Let's see. Justin Towns is in here. I think I said the hello to him already. I don't want to lose anybody before I roll through here. Let's see. Yeah, Rick Morris, I said hi. Randall Tan, what's up, Randall? Thank you. Hail the Outlaw King. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Cam Chef. Good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, everybody wishing happy birthday. Thank you all so much for sending her happy birthday. She's going to be so upset at me, but I love it. P. Jenny, thanks. Hi, John from India. Hi, Pete. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in from India. Outlaw Nation is Outlaw World Global. I appreciate it. Hail the Outlaw Queen. Thank you, Randall Tan. Very kind of you. See that guy over there? Good to see you. Mike Brower, what's up? Shiva Kumar, how are you? Louis 78 LP. What's up? Blessings and be safe. Same to you, man. Same to you. Blessings and be safe as well. Here, Mike Brower wants to know my thoughts on Top Gun Maverick. We're definitely going to be talking about. That's the first subject we're going to talk about here on the show today. Jeff's scheduled to come in around 9 a.m. So, but we'll, keep our fingers crossed because Jeff always kind of operates on his own schedule. So Chris Hall is in here. I said hi to him already. And yeah, okay. Gloin to Hobbit. What's up, Gloin to Hobbit? He said your live feed show is looking nice. Thank you very much. From where it was in January to where it is now, I appreciate it very, very much. So let's see. She says, all right. Snyder says, what is his Gmail? Let me do that real quick. He needs the link, the StreamYard's link. Let me put it in for him. Let me see. Do I have Jeff Snyder's Gmail? I do not. So he needs to send it to me and I'll send him the link. And for those of you who are coming in here, Streamlabs are up, Super Chats are up. Please send them all in this morning. I'm sorry I couldn't come on Wednesday. I was completely exhausted from the Outlaw Nation show. I stayed an extra hour on the show that night. It just kind of wiped me out when I woke up that morning. So that's something that I've got to kind of negotiate for myself. And letting you know another piece of news about the Outlaw Nation. I just got pitched Greg Nicotero. So I'm going to have him on as a special deep cut episode. Greg Nicotero coming on to talk about Creep Show, the new series that's coming out there that I just got sent the link for. So I'm going to watch some of those episodes as well in preparation for that. And I'll definitely be reviewing the show here on the channel as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun overall to do that with Greg Nicotero to talk about what he's doing, maybe slide in some Walking Dead conversations. That'll be a lot of fun. Another thing also, the Geek Buddies just dropped their review of Netflix's Tiger King. Me and Michael Vogel and Shannon McClung. That is on the channel for you to watch and listen to if you want as well. So please feel free to do that. We also dropped our regular show a couple of days ago, talk about all kinds of things on the Geek Buddies. And is there one? Oh yeah, and this morning, if you're a Cinephiles fan, this morning is part one of our exploration exploration of the Hunt for Red October. So Hunt for Red October dropped this morning on the Cinephiles feed. I'll certainly be tweeting about it a little bit later on today. Please go and take a look at that. And also my pro wrestling show, Strong Style, the new episode dropped. That is on this channel, on the YouTube channel. Aaron Turner and I breaking down Prince Puma versus Pentagon Dark at Ultimate Lucha Tres, but also reviewing the new Dark Side of the Ring on New Jack, which was stellar, absolutely stellar. All right, but what you're here to talk to me about, or to listen to me talk about, is entertainment news. So let's get to it before we get too far down the road and not and get lost in the weeds on this. All right, the number one thing everyone wants to talk about is Top Gun Maverick. That's right. Top Gun Maverick has been postponed. It came over the news, all the websites yesterday, all the entertainment websites yesterday, saying that Top Gun Maverick is now going to be moved to Wednesday, December 23rd, 2020, instead of June 24th. So it was supposed to come out June 24th this summer, but now they've pushed it to December of this year. So still this year, still 2020, but it will be pushed into December. And of course, this is on the heels of a couple of months ago with, or a month ago rather, with James Bond being moved to November. So now we have Bond in November, Top Gun in December, December 23rd, just before Christmas, 2 days before Christmas, on Wednesday 23rd. It is moving. It causes the Chris Pratt movie, the Skydance Chris Pratt movie, the Tomorrow War. They're moving it to another day. Another date. They haven't specified what date that is, but that was the date they were supposed to come out, December 23rd for the Tomorrow War. Now they pushed that back as well. There'll be, and there's no like big superhero movie coming out in December. So maybe Top Gun will be doing really well overall financially in that situation. There's no Star Wars movie, no superhero movie. Tom and Jerry is going to be dropped for Warner Brothers. There's a World War II drama called The Nightingale. Croods 2, which is going to be there, and Universal's News of the World will be there as well. Scheduled still is West Side Story. That's supposed to come out the weekend before. American Underdog, the Kurt Warner story, which is of course about Kurt Warner, the quarterback for the Rams and the Cardinals as well, when he took them, both those teams, to the Super Bowl. Dune is supposed to come out around in December as well, and Coming to America Part 2. Just the article that we get this from on Deadline is also stating that the SpongeBob movie itself will be debuting July 31st as well, instead of Memorial Day weekend. But the big conversation, of course, is Top Gun Maverick being moved in a positive direction, I think, into the summer. Into the Christmas window. Look, I know a lot of people might be upset about this. Let me bring my overlay back up. I know a lot of people might be upset about this because they were looking forward to seeing Top Gun Maverick in June and having a little fun with that thing. It's a perfect summer movie. Great to see that back again. All right, so there it is. Sorry, let me email Jeff the thing. Jeff, it took a while for him to wake up, so let me email him the link. So I don't want to miss him on this. So he will come in when he's ready to come in, and we'll be excited to have him join us to talk about all of this, all the moves and delays, and what it might mean overall for the summer movie season, because that was the headline. Is the summer movie season over? And me personally, it's starting to feel that way. You see the studios just slowly kind of start to move certain things piece by piece, step by step. They were holding out hope that this thing would be done, but unfortunately, it is not done yet. The coronavirus precautions are not done yet. So people are, so studios are kind of just tempering their expectations, trying their best to just move things a little bit down the line so that they still will come out in some form in the summer. But I think more and more, it's becoming very, very clear that the summer movie season might be completely lost for 2020. And in that vein, we won't get too many. We'll get a very clogged 2021 and a very clogged back end 2020. In that way. So that'll be what the situation is there. And other news as well. Let's jump let's just go jump into this as well. A Quiet Place Part 2. That also finally got a release date. If you remember, it was indefinitely pushed, and this was like a few days before it was supposed to come out. I think it was 2 weeks or something like that before it was supposed to come out earlier this year. It got pushed indefinitely. It got delayed indefinitely. They were waiting to go. This was supposed to come out on March 20th before it got pulled from the calendar. God, it feels like months ago, doesn't it? Like so much has happened in our lives since March 20th. It feels like so long ago, but it was supposed to come out on March 20th. It's now going to open on September 4th. So again, after the summer, September 4th, Labor Day weekend is usually, but what they're saying here, usually the a dead period for moviegoers, but it looks like since if school is still if some schools are still going to be out, or if people are still going to be quarantined, whatever, maybe we're just climbing out of it. How quickly schools are going to come back into motion, we don't know, but it looks like Paramount's trying to kind of grab that area, that time with A Quiet Place Part 2. We'll see if that's a smart strategy, and we'll see if that gets pushed for sure. I mean, you got Wonder Woman coming out in August, on August 14th right now. I personally think that's still going to be pushed again. I think, like I said, they're just kind of slowly tempering their expectations, waiting a little bit, pushing things a couple of months ahead, and then seeing where they are after that. But I think that's what's going to happen overall. All these things are going to be pushed to September. Now, with Quiet Place Part 2 coming out on September 4th, that's 1 week before The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It is supposed to come out. So will we get The Conjuring moving to make place for A Quiet Place Part 2? Is that going to happen? I wonder overall, because I mean, horror movies don't usually like to butt up against each other. They like to have a little bit of space so they can make as much money as possible. The Deadline article goes on to say, quote, the changes unveiled Thursday cut far deeper into the summer calendar with an unexpected date as to when exhibition will reopen on full blast. AMC has been hoping to reopen their theaters early June. New York City has over 45,000 COVID-19 cases, the coronavirus cases. So, and that's more than half the entire state. So that's kind of insane. Meaning that half the entire state of what they're essentially saying is 45,000 cases just in New York City, and the entire state has 90,000. So half of the cases are coming out of one city in the entire state of New York. So that's pretty massive. And everybody knows that New York and Los Angeles are two of the big places that constitute a lot of the ticket sales for studios and for these movies. The article goes on to say, I'm told many titles are flexible for all studios and can always be pulled to an earlier opening should the nation's marketplace improve. Many are expecting that when theaters do reopen, it will take some time for audiences to come back. Winter holdover titles and catalog movies are expected to be on marquees. Also, live televised sporting events will have to return. And that's another thing. How's that going to affect things? Like, are people going to go? How is sports going to affect the movie theaters, things of that nature? We do have Trolls World Tour coming out on demand, and My Spy, the Dave Bautista film, has yet to drop here in the States. It dropped in Canada, only made about $200,000 in Canada. So when Jeff comes on the show, we'll talk about, because I've got dates of things that are right now tentatively scheduled, and we still have films that are supposed to come out in May and in June and July right now that have not been pushed, haven't been moved just yet. So I'm going to talk to Jeff about this and see what he thinks is going to happen and if these movies are going to be moved. And speaking of which, why don't we just bring him in now? Is he sitting there? Look at that pretty face. He's got his things up. I'm looking forward to seeing this guy. Let's see what we got here. Jeff Sneider is waiting to come on the show. Let me give him a proper introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a pundit. He is a movie critic. He is a scoops wizard, a mastermind of knowledge of film, one of my greatest nemesis in the Schmoedown, a guy who has made his bones and his name in every arena he has walked into, and someone I'm proud to call a friend and a counselor, and also, I don't know, a ball-busting East Coast boy just like me. And I can't wait to get him in here to talk about everything that's going on in the world of film and entertainment and answer your questions as well. And I'll be putting the live link into the chat so people can come in live and ask questions of us as well. So let's get him in here now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, the incredible Jeff Sneider. Boom. What's up? There he is. There he is, Snyder. Let me put your overlay up. As soon as you're going to find it here. There it is. Boom. Look at that. Jeff Sneider at the Insneider. Find him there. Go and follow him on all social media. He's the blast. Jeff, good to see you. How are you doing? How are you doing this thing with the self-quarantine? How is it going for you?
I mean, it's going okay. I'm used to kind of working from home 3 or 4 days a week anyways. As you know, I'm hardly ever in the Collider office. So this isn't that much different, except, when you are working from home, normally there's a reward at the end. You go out at night or you go out on the weekends.
Right.
And we don't have that right now. So, I'm holding up okay, but can I do another 2-3 months of this? I don't know.
Right. Well, and when we were working, you want to turn I think you need to turn your thing down. Yeah. When we were working together, I know you'd go and do lunches and all those kinds of things.
Should I get headphones?
Yeah, it's probably the best thing for you to get headphones. First time on a live stream, Jeff? Jesus Christ. I got to walk the guy. I'm just glad you're wearing pants. I'll be honest with you. I'm just happy you are wearing pants. Here we go. Larry Lease giving me a super chat here. John, love you, dude. You got Charlie Daniels in my head now. Darn TikTok. Yeah, that's right. I did a TikTok last night. I was in the mood. I did a little fun TikTok. So thank you, Larry Lease, for that super chat. Here we go. Larry Lease also wants to know, what is the outlook for cinemas if they open in June? So we're going to address all of that with Jeff now, as we just talked about so much that's happening in Top Gun Maverick and Quiet Place Part 2 and so many of these movies. Now, are we good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You know what else I can do, John? I can read all the comments on the side. I don't know what I'm doing with technology. I don't watch the fan matches. Yeah, you're right.
Listen, Jeff's not, Jeff's going to do things on his time schedule, ladies and gentlemen. He's never been one to kind of do things because people say he should do things. So I always appreciate that about Jeff. He walks his own path. But look, let's talk about all of this, man. I mean, because you've been home. I know you like to go out to lunches. You got to meet up with agents. You like to go and kind of get the information. That's how you get these scoops. You maintain these relationships. You network like crazy. You bring them to premieres or bring them to screenings to kind of maintain these relationships. Has everything kind of going back to self-isolation? Has that kind of dented your ability to get the scoops or get the knowledge? Have people been less inclined? Do you sense that people are like not excited about what's happening, so they don't feel as as forthcoming about information? Or is it just business as usual? We're just having to do it from home.
I mean, I know I feel guilty hitting up sources. I feel like I'm infringing on their quarantine somehow. And I mean, the truth is that development news is slow. It is still continuing. We have seen, writers hired, script sales, that kind of stuff. There hasn't been, a ton of major casting news. There's been a couple projects here and there. But yeah, the business is still, going forward. Like, I know I have friends, managers, agents who are just doing Zoom meetings all day. Yeah. A lot of people say, though, that, a Zoom meeting, it's like good for a general sort of thing, but in order to like really pitch something, you need to be in the room with someone. So, I mean, it's definitely an interesting time. I feel guilty sort of reporting on scoops like that. That is one thing that I've sort of realized in all this, is just how kind of trivial what I do and what I write about is. It is what I write about, when I'm like, oh no, the sky is falling and Warner Brothers is moving Wonder Woman, that pales in comparison to what is happening in the real world. I still have to cover it, of course, and make people feel like what's happening and all of it is important. And it is. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people's livelihoods are on the line here. So these kinds of moves matter. But it's definitely been a sobering month.
Yeah, I can imagine. And we'll get to that in just a second. Just want to say something to the fans out there. Got over 148 of you watching, almost 150. Would love it if you swung your cursor over, hit that like button, get me over 100 likes as soon as possible, and then we'll start marching towards 150 likes by the end of this episode. So please swing that over, hit that like button, get it up there, give some love to Jeff Sneider. Like this video as well. So Jeff, you talk about the summer movie seasons. I put a summer movie season rather for this year. I just talked about Top Gun moving to December. Quiet Place 2 Part 2 moving to September. These movies are starting to slowly move. We see Wonder Woman move to August. And I hear what you're saying, like your job, and you think it's kind of trivial compared to what's happening. But people are desperate to not focus on what's happening and have some kind of distraction. So I think anything you're reporting on, I think people want to grab those morsels and just run with it. Yes, there are the cynics and the skeptics who say, oh, who cares? It's not that important. But the truth is, entertainment, distraction, these kind of sports, these things are very important for people in their daily lives, because most people aren't working the job they really want to work in their life. So they're just paying their bills, doing what they can do with their jobs, taking care of their families, but they need those distractions to kind of balance them out. And movies certainly fill that void, the chance to get out of the house, a chance to be alone in a movie theater, or a chance to go and see a sporting event, or a chance to go somewhere. So I would push back a little bit and say that everyone is doing in entertainment business still matters, because we need that to be able to function as a society as a whole, in my opinion. But that being said, do you see this? Do you think that studios are just tentatively punting the balls like 10 yards down the field or 15 yards down the field in the hope that this will kind of crest, and then movie theaters will come and they'll be the first movie studio with movies out in the theaters? Or do you think
first of all, you don't want to be the first studio. That's the thing. Okay. Nobody wants to be the first studio to offer up a tentpole as the sacrificial lamb and say, gee, I hope people go to this. Okay, that's why you're going to see the tentpoles. They're all getting bumped. And then, maybe in June, July, August, theaters do reopen and studios do put out a couple of programmers here and there to test the waters, to sort of experiment, to say, okay, well, we can put out this $40 or $50 million movie that we made, see how many people show up, see what the appetite is for theatrical releases. But yeah, I think it would be crazy for studios to just keep their tentpoles where they are, because people are going to be reluctant to go back to theaters. I know I will. I'm not in any rush. It's not like there's some magical day that the coronavirus just disappears and it's safe to go outside. I think this is going to impact theaters for a while, and you're going to have to use proper precautions even when you do go. Go ahead.
Well, you see this happening in China, right? They had reopened the theaters and they were trying to bring people in with these blockbusters, but then they shut the theaters all over again. And the rumors are circulating around because, of course, a lot of people are skeptical about what really the true story is about China. They're saying, oh, they were afraid that a second wave of these infections was happening. But other outlets were reporting the fact that people weren't going to these movies in the movie theaters because they were afraid to get the virus. They didn't feel like it was the right time yet. They were it's like kind of being shut away, like, seeing films in solitary, right? They slowly climb out and the light's too bright. They don't want to necessarily go out there. So you sense that may happen as well. See, I think people are going to run back to the theaters, but you might actually be right. This idea that people are going to tentatively go back in small numbers because they don't want to get infected. And just because the government says it's okay, doesn't mean I believe it's okay.
We're still going to have to practice social distancing in theaters. Like the initiative that they started just before they shut down, where they're doing 50% of the theater capacity. Yeah. I think they'll go back to that. It's obviously complicated, and they're going to just look to the CDC and see what guidelines they set forth. But yeah, I think that consumers are going to have to make that decision on a case by case basis. And is this movie worth it? Like when Paramount still had SpongeBob slated for Memorial Day and we were acting like that was going to happen. Like, what parent in their right mind is like putting their 8-year-old kid into a movie theater and like, let's test it on SpongeBob of all things? That's crazy.
Right.
We still haven't seen Tenet move. So Warner Brothers is sort of the final holdout, and they have sort of been stubborn throughout this entire thing. I feel like they were kind of late in moving Wonder Woman 1984 as well. Mm-hmm. I think it's just an inevitability that the Nolan film will move. I don't know if it'll move to December, because I think Top Gun kind of just beat it to it. I thought that Tenet moving to December and taking Dune's place would have made a lot of sense. But now with Top Gun there, I don't think that could necessarily happen. Maybe Tenet will open in October, but I think the chances of it coming out in July are extremely slim.
Well, that's another thing that studios have to worry about, right? Finding the right weekends to drop them, because just because they can release them doesn't mean they'll necessarily make money, because now the competition becomes even more heated. There becomes more stuff going on. Like in December already, I just listed out before you came on, all these movies that are still tentatively slated to come out in December, they're all going to smash into each other. And yeah, there's no superhero movie or no Star Wars movie, but still there are some big titles like West Side Story, now Top Gun Maverick. There's going to be a bunch of titles probably that might move to December and could glut the market. And in the end, you're not going to make that money anyway. So do the studios, do they mentally think, and what you're seeing and what you're having conversations, do they just kind of think this year is a complete wash? Or
Yeah.
they'll be able to salvage something?
I think that had to do, like, I think I played a big part in Sony moving its stuff, because that was really, that was a huge deal. That was like, okay, we are punting on the summer, and we're just moving everything to March, essentially. Morbius and Ghostbusters Afterlife were both moved to next March. So it's like dating a movie. There's an art to it, and you have to find the right dates for these films. Obviously. I feel like it also has to do with the stock market, and like like the books can look bad this year because it's like, well, coronavirus or whatever. So like rather than try to like make things look better right now, I think studios are okay with things just looking bad and having a big turnaround next year. I'm very curious how this is going to impact the Oscars. I mean, when you take Ghostbusters and Morbius off the schedule, and Wonder Woman's still there because it's been moved, and same with Bond. But it's like those are two movies that probably would have competed for a visual effects Oscar. Like, are there going to be enough movies that come out this year to have a decent Oscar field, or will we revert back to the early days of the Academy and they'll just say all the movies that came out in 2020, you're now eligible for the next year's Oscar, and they'll just do 2 years in one?
Yeah, that's the thing I've been looking at as well, Jeff. This idea that if this starts to, I could foresee down the road this idea that the studios start to feel comfortable dropping these movies, and they start to ramp up the possibility, and theaters start saying they're going to reopen, and then that first couple of cases that people get infected going back to the movie theater, and we start all over again, shut it all down for the fall. If we lose even movies in the fall, do we even have an Oscar ceremony at all? Is that something you've thought about?
I definitely have. There may not be one. That may be the prudent choice, because they're not going to have an Oscars for the movies that came out from January to March. They're not going to be giving Birds of Prey a Best Picture nomination. Like, that's not going to happen, guys. So, it's definitely going to depend on will there even be fall festivals? Will Toronto and Venice happen? We're already seeing a lot of summer events canceled. I think if you lose the fall festivals, at that point, studios just sort of throw up their hands and move everything, a year. So this is going to have dominoes for years to come. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it says. That's what it seems to feel like. Do you think we just saw the news that South by Southwest and and Amazon Prime kind of worked out this deal where they're going to screen some of those films that debuted or were showed at South by Southwest for the American market for free, for people to watch for free. And that's an incredible decision by both of these organizations. Do you think in order to salvage some semblance of the Oscars, if we don't get theaters reopened, will these studios start dropping these films on their streaming services just to qualify for the possibility of being nominated for an Oscar? And do the Oscars then change their rules for 1 year just to be able to have an Oscar ceremony?
I think if there is an Oscar ceremony this year, then it will incorporate movies that went straight to streaming. Not that a lot of any real major titles have.
Not yet. Right.
Not yet anyways. But I do think that they will make that change the same way that the HFPA made that change for the Golden Globes. So that was a very narrow time frame. That was like only the movies from mid-March to the end of April are going to be getting in under that clause. As far as the Amazon thing of it all goes, it's like we're really going to get the festival's top titles. Judd Apatow's new movie with Pete Davidson was supposed to open that festival. You think Universal is going to suddenly put that on Amazon for 10 days? That's not happening. So I don't, the Amazon, however, admirable it is that they want to, give some exposure to these movies that saw their premieres canceled. You also have to wonder if it's actually beneficial to filmmakers. And so I wrote an 1,100 word piece yesterday on Collider, sort of questioning those things, which is my job. It's my job to be skeptical. Maybe the Amazon thing works out great for some of these people, but a lot of others, it's like, well, why would an acquisition, if you're an acquisition title, why would someone come in and buy you when, maybe 1 million people saw your movie on Amazon in those 10 days?
Yeah.
And that million people represents 10 million in box office.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And guys, look, the Streamlabs are open right now. The Super Chats are open right now. Please send in your questions for Jeff and I to answer. And let me put the stream link in here. If you want to come and join us live, you can go into the StreamYard link that I just posted up there. And maybe Jake, whoever's moderating, maybe Jake can copy that and post it as well. You can ask your questions live. We're only going to about 9:50, 9:55 this morning because I got to jump on over to SEN Live. So we're only got limited time with Jeff Sneider. But I'm glad he came in to join us. 2 Streamlabs we had come through, which was from Andy Burnett. He said, what are both of your thoughts on what will happen with the Oscars for 2021? We just answered that. Would they delay the date or just continue status quo? That's another point of this too. Would they delay the Oscars if everything gets pushed? And would they make the window different and then eventually kind of even back out again? What do you think?
No, I first of all, I really liked last year's ceremony being in early February. I think it's absurd to be in March and talking about the movies that came out last year. So if they push it, you might as well just push it a full year and do an Oscar ceremony that covers 2 years, which is how they actually did it in the early days of the Academy. But yeah, like when would you think that the Oscars would be held? March or April? It's not like those people are, it's not like studios are going to use January and February to suddenly put out all their Oscar contenders,
Right. Good point. Another Streamlab came in here, said, this is a Schmoedown question. Since we can't get a Patriots versus the top 10 basketball game, could we get the Outlaw versus Jeff Sneider on the court?
Please.
Ditto.
Yeah.
I think we could set that up.
Can you run?
I probably have to. I'd probably have to spot you 5 points just to make it an even game. I'd have to spot you.
Wait,
5
you're
points.
spotting me 5 points, or I'm spotting you 5 points?
No, I'm spotting you 5 points. Please, it's ridiculous to consider that we would be like that. You would even remotely think you could compete on a basketball court 1-on-1 with me. You're insane. You're 2 foot tall, first of all, and you're 900 years old. So I'm gonna absolutely smoke that ass. Please, it's not even a joke. It's not even a question.
I don't want to embarrass you on your own show here, so I'll just let you have that one, buddy.
You bring it, son. You bring it. All right, there's over 170 all in here. Thank you so much for joining me live. Please hit that like button. Let's get to 150. We're over 115 likes right now. Let's get to 150 before we wrap this thing up. Larry Lease wants to know, so the Oscars need a host. So the Oscars need a host and nominees. Do you think they still need a host after the ratings from last year, this last ceremony weren't so strong as they were last year without a host?
I do. I mean, I like the show just fine without a host, but I do think that they need a host in order to boost the ratings. And I also think, particularly this year, given all that has happened in Hollywood, that they will need a host to sort of help them navigate, the impacts that the coronavirus has had on Hollywood. I think that would be wise.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you for sure. Let's bring in someone live here to ask their question. Wiley Todd, what's up, Wiley? How you doing, brother, man?
How you doing?
With Jeff Sneider and me.
How you doing, Jeff?
Hey, man. How are you?
Good. So I got a quick question. Rocha says I have a one-track mind. So I'm actually really, really scared that No Time to Die will also get postponed again. Have you heard anything? What's your thoughts on it? Because I'm really excited for it, and I just don't think I can handle another postpone for that movie.
I mean, again, it depends on the situation. From my understanding of this whole coronavirus thing, it's going to come in waves. Maybe the summer is okay, and then it comes back, and there's a bit of an outbreak in the fall or whatever. I think it's going to depend on what the appetite is for movies in the summer and in the fall, like September. They could totally move it to next spring, I suppose, but I think November is totally a date that could work for it. So if people do come back to theaters, I don't know why they would move it again. It's a long time from now, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
things of that nature.
That's the thing. It's tough to make predictions for things that'll happen, a week or two from now, let alone in November.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. Thanks, Wiley. I always appreciate you asking the question, my man. And one last thing. Jeff, do you consider Color of Money one of the top Scorsese films, or is it really kind of near the bottom of his oeuvre?
I think it's in the middle. I mean, I really like Color of Money. I watched it. I think I watched it one time. It's definitely not top tier Scorsese, but it's definitely not the bottom tier.
Right, Oof. But it's in the middle.
Middling Gun is the bottom tier of Scorsese movies.
Hugo is in the bottom tier. I hated Hugo. I hated Hugo.
Hugo is good. New York's in the bottom tier.
Yeah. New York, yeah. I would give you New York, yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Wally.
Yeah.
He's a blast, man. He helps me out on the Patreon and things of that nature. He's 17-year-old, that kid. He's a senior in high school, for God's sakes, asking his questions.
I need to get me a 17-year-old to set up a Patreon for me. I don't know how to make any side cash.
I've always, you know me, I've always been hustling with my revenue streams, man. I never just rely on one thing. The city's not worth it. The city doesn't make you rely on one thing. You just can't. Let me run through the list of movies that are supposedly still scheduled, Jeff. I want to get your thoughts on this. Like Artemis Fowl is still scheduled for May 29th. Candyman is still there on June 12th. Soul on June 19th. Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds one, on July 3rd. Bob's Burgers. Tenet hasn't moved yet, as you mentioned earlier. Jungle Cruise is still out there. And then SpongeBob, and then Barb and Star, Go to Visit Delmar. I don't know what that is, but that ends essentially the summer area. And then we get into that transition time, which is August between summer and fall. And like we mentioned, Wonder Woman got pushed there. Bill and Ted Face the Music is there. Monster Hunter is there. And then we start September with A Quiet Place Part 2 and that Beatles documentary from Peter Jackson. But you look at these films that are here. Do you anticipate Artemis Fowl moving, Soul moving, Free Guy, Bob Burgers, Tenet, Jungle Cruise? Do you anticipate all those moving eventually as well, or is Disney being stubborn as hell about it?
I do anticipate them all moving. I mean, Artemis Fowl is the sort of movie that I could actually see being a good experiment. Like, could they get people to show up in theaters for that? Because I don't think that's supposed to be a gigantic hit. I don't know what the budget was for it either. That's also the sort of movie I could see them, putting on streaming. So it's honestly tough to say. Candyman is a movie that I don't think that will go to streaming. I don't think that will be like The Hunt. The Candyman could make real money for MGM. So if they can't put that out in early June, then I suspect that they will delay that.
What I'm seeing here on the numbers.com, Artemis Fowl's production budget was $125 million. So that is a lot for a British story. Yeah,
you're not going to make that up in streaming, so you may have to just shift the date on that, or if theaters are open, maybe you just put it out there and see what happens. Like just to get like a baseline for the lowest that your other movies would sort of make.
Yeah. Garth McMurray wants to. He says, "Hey Snyder, I'm looking forward to whenever the Schmoedown comes to Boston, and I hope that you can come. Then #rocks stars." What's your feeling about that too, Jeff? Like the Schmoedown, like we've been delaying matches, and let's get into a little bit of a sports talk. I mean, sports have been delayed as well. When do you think that there will come a time where this entire sports landscape is a wash for 2020 as well, and we just kind of restart all over again in 2021? How does the NFL have a playoffs? Does the NFL have a season if they keep pushing? If they start to push their start time. I mean, baseball's 162 games. You can play a truncated season. The NBA has played a truncated season before when they've had that strike the year the Rockets and the Knicks went to the finals. But you look at the NFL doesn't usually do that and has rarely survived a truncated season, except for that one year when the Redskins went to the Super Bowl. So do you think that's possible for the NFL and sports in general?
I think it's likely that if sports do come back, that there may not be fans in the building for a while. Like if the NBA season does start on time in October, I could definitely see them, starting without spectators. I think it's so that the sport could continue. It would keep timelines on track and also give us something to watch. Yes. I could see media crews, being there. But the idea of putting 25,000 people together in a stadium right now, it just doesn't seem very smart to me. and it opens up just like a world of liability too for these teams. I mean, I can't imagine the lawsuits that are going to come out of this time period. We're already starting to see it with yesterday's like Paradigm lawsuit, which was wild, about an agent being fired and then just just napalming her boss. I think there's going to be a lot of situations like that. So yeah, well, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, certainly that's starting to happen more and more. We're seeing these furloughs, these layoffs, things that are going across the board. And yeah, there's certainly going to be probably a lot more ugliness when this all shapes out. Because apparently there was that assistance pay issue that was going around. They were going to adjust to that. And now they put that on hold, or they adjusted the schedule for that too, that was rolling around. So there's a lot as this gets tighter and tighter. You start to realize how many businesses legitimately were essentially living paycheck to paycheck themselves, Jeff. It has been shocking to see that. I had no idea. You think they're making millions and billions and whatever, but then you don't factor in production costs overhead, all this extra stuff, rental, things of that nature that cost studios money. Plus, these executives aren't going to be doing this like, well, you know what? Cut my salary to save Joe in the mailroom. They're not going to do any of that shit. They're going to keep their money for the most part. It's the rare executive that takes the pay cut.
A lot of CEOs have foregone their salary for the year, or taken that 50% pay cut, and you're seeing, pay cuts sort of trickle down, like depending on what tier you are. If you're an EVP, a VP, they're taking a bigger or smaller cut out of your paycheck. Right. But like, getting back to the sports of it all, like if I gave you tickets on the 50-yard line for a Rams game in early September and this thing hasn't gone away yet, are you accepting those tickets? Are you in a rush to get back to that game? No, and I think that's TV. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to feel like that. So, I think that there's something special and magical about live sports. When you can feel that tension inside the building. But I think it's going to be a while before we get back to that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Roberto Taylor says, hello and good show. Can we get a match of Rocha and Gucci versus Snyder and Roxy on the Schmoedown and 2-on-2 basketball?
Dude, guys, you don't even understand. I would do that. I would do that because I know John's not good at basketball, and I doubt Tom is good. Tom is like built like an athlete, but he doesn't strike me as an athlete at all.
Listen, I can use Tom on pick and rolls, no problem, all day long. Just standing there in the lane is not a problem. And Jeff
both of you can play defense, I'm sure. I think that you're both probably tenacious defenders. But as far as putting a basketball in a hoop, I don't know that Rocha and Tom can do that consistently. Did Tom play any sports in growing up? Was he like a big athlete?
I don't actually know that. I really don't. I've never seen him do any kind of sports.
I don't know.
But I know he's a crafty SOB, so he's as crafty as you are. So that would kind of cancel each other out, the wiliness on both sides. But yeah, it would be interesting to see us play. And Jeff thinks basketball is only shooting. I think of it as backing people down into the block and then just flipping that ball up. And because I've got about a foot and a half on Jeff,
just flip it up.
It's that easy. It's that easy. Just bounce it off the middle of the board into the net. Not difficult game once you can get down on the block.
I miss basketball so much. So Stephanie got us a treadmill, so I've been using the treadmill more.
Oh, cool.
So I've been putting on the quarantine 15, but I cannot wait to get back out on the basketball court. And when I do, Rocha, I will send you a goddamn engraved invitation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're to the point now because unfortunately Lindley got furloughed as well. So we are home more, so we're around each other more. So me going to play basketball on a Saturday afternoon at noon is not going to be a problem for her now. We set up the living room. She's essentially set up a second office, a pseudo office. So now we've turned this office into my office, and out there is her office. So we essentially have two offices working from home while we're trying to build these new separate things in our lives. So so it won't be a problem, Jeff. You'll see me out there. Trust me on that. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, is the increased time that you're spending together, is that impacting your relationship for better or worse?
It's not for worse. No, we had I said this last night on one of my streams. We went and got some takeout food the other night, and we sat there in the car because we didn't want to go back in the house. We want to kind of be outside a little bit. And we sat in the car and we just had our food and we just talked and we hammered out a working schedule, and then we hammered out what situations might arise from us being around each other a lot and working around each other. So we hammered out that 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. are work hours. And when one of us wants to talk to the other one, if the other person's in the middle of something, you come in and say, excuse me, I don't want to bother you. Can I ask you this, blah, blah, blah. So there's a certain level of like levels of consideration and courteousness that you want to express to each other so that there's not this kind of banging into each other. And also we created the space to say, hey, I need some time to myself, and the other person cannot be offended by that. We established that very clearly from the beginning. If I need to go into another room and watch something or play my video games, or she needs to go and watch her British television without me at the couch, neither one of us can get offended by that. So we established all of that ahead of time, and we don't have to have every meal together. I think that was the number one thing, because my schedule can be wonky with all these shows that I do. So we established that. So for right now, we've got a nice working plan, and we'll see as things progress if we maintain that working plan or we come into some issues. We'll see. We've got this great donation from Adam Jimenez. It's hard for me to believe that any theatrically planned release Disney movie would get put directly on Disney Plus because it's not available worldwide yet. Yeah, Jeff, can you address that? Because a lot of people are talking about Black Widow and other Disney films like Soul that's coming out, which is the one that Disney really wanted to put a lot of push behind versus Onward. What is the hesitation to put it on streaming other than the loss of money? And do you think they would just ever hit a point where they, well, I mean, do you think they'd ever hit a point where it's like, well, screw it. You know, we can't.
No, there's not enough money in streaming it. I didn't even realize that Disney Plus wasn't worldwide yet. And so, yeah, if it's not worldwide, then you really can't put anything on there that you're worried about getting pirated. Because obviously piracy is, a gigantic business. So, yeah, I mean, I guess with art, I didn't realize Artemis Fowl cost that much. I mean, even with a price tag like that, which is on the lower end of most of these Disney movies, certainly lower than Jungle Cruise and probably Pixar's Soul even. No, I don't think that you would put those movies on Disney Plus. I mean, Disney Plus is like $5 a month. You know how many subscriptions they would have to sell just to like make that up? And that's sort of what I've been saying this entire month when people are like, well, why don't they just put it on streaming? It's like the streaming numbers don't support that for a tentpole. When it's Ben Affleck's The Way Back or Universal's The Hunt that costs $5-10 million, that's a different equation. You can't put Wonder Woman 1984 on HBO Max. Like, that's insane.
Right. Or even the Invisible Man, right? All those films they dropped were already on the tail end of their box office.
Right, exactly. You make your money opening weekend or in the first 2-3 weekends. Invisible Man did well. Sonic the Hedgehog did well. But yeah, those were movies that had a little chance to breathe in theaters, and so that's why NATO wasn't upset about those movies being made available. Where they drew the line in the sand was Trolls World Tour, because that's a movie that should gross $300-400 million worldwide, right? And so theaters, to them, 150-200 million of that is their money. That's why they're like, oh, how could you just not put that in theaters? Because they're looking at that on their, from their own financial detriment.
Yeah, and that's something to be considered for sure. We got a Streamlab that came, two of them that came in through here. Ratson King wants to know, hey, John and Jeff, I really hope you're all right after your recent hospital stay. The Schmoedown and the movie world would not be the same without a unique and cool guy like you. Jeff, thoughts on that?
Well, thank you very much for saying that. It was obviously very scary. So I've been in quarantine longer than pretty much anyone I know. Because I went into the hospital. I started feeling sick on the last day of Collider, March 7th, I believe it was, March 6th. And I went into the hospital the following day. I had a high fever, over 101. I couldn't breathe. I needed like 8 breathing treatments. I needed like 6 bags of fluids, and I've got a hefty bill that I'm stuck with for it. So it was very, very scary. And I don't know if it was coronavirus. It could have been. I wasn't tested for coronavirus. I was tested for the flu, and I tested positive. And it's I think it's rare to have the flu. If it's the flu, it's typically not coronavirus. But I also haven't been told that you can't have both at the same time. And then last week I got pink eye. I had pink eye for the week, which is, uncomfortable and unpleasant. And they say that's a sign of the coronavirus. Stephanie, my girlfriend, works, in a doctor's office and does one day a week in an urgent care. And so, I'm a little paranoid about, her taking the proper precautions and whatnot, because I'm immunocompromised. But thank you for saying that, and obviously I want to make it through this whole ordeal so that I can get revenge in the Schmoedown against Ben Bateman, Mark Riley, everyone who screwed me this year, Chris Skaliski, and of course one more match at least against the Outlaw, because he needs some competition.
I mean, for God's sakes, I would love to have taken on Jeff Sneider, but he couldn't get the job against Ethan Irwin. Who doesn't know Orson Welles? What a sad state of affairs.
This close.
I know.
This close to a singles record.
I wanted to eviscerate you.
Orson
I wanted to eviscerate you. I mean, the fat man coming to mess with you again. All right. Rob Mack donated some money here. He said, where do you guys see Cam Newton and Jameis Winston landing? Also, which team with a new quarterback has the best chance of succeeding? Brady and Evans look scared together, but I think Rivers and Hilton could prove to be a truly dynamic duo on the Colts. Stay safe. Yeah, Jeff, real quick, sports question. What's your opinion on this? Where do you think Jameis and Cam might land? And do you think Brady was the best quarterback to make?
I would love to have either one of them, because it has been, I can't remember the last time I saw a New England Patriots quarterback who could run. I just think that would open up Belichick's playbook, and he could just design a completely different offense around a running quarterback like a Cam Newton. Jameis, the guy throws a ton of interceptions, but I also think he can make a lot of plays. I don't know how many playmakers we really have outside of Julian Edelman. It's been a little depressing to watch the Patriots sort of stand there with their hands tied in free agency. I think Brady is going to have a tremendous year. I mean, with the weapons that they have down there, I think he's definitely going to show everyone that he may be older, but the regression isn't there.
Well, I mean, and the thing is true. If you get older, but you go to a team with more weapons than you had at the team you were leaving, then you've got yourself a better situation. People are making fun of the move so much. Oh, Tampa Bay. Those receivers are incredible. Their running back is strong. Their defense is good to great. And Bruce Arians was a damn good coach over there in Arizona, what he could get out of that team. So to have him slide into Tampa Bay and look, he got Jameis Winston. As terrible as Jameis was with those interceptions, they still almost made the playoffs. That's insane. So you add Tom Brady to the mix. This feels very reminiscent of Peyton going to Denver with that strong defense and those weapons, and the possibility here that Brady could go and get one more Super Bowl before he calls it quits. And honestly, you could have no arguments against him being the GOAT if he goes to Tampa and wins a Super Bowl.
There's no argument now. Whoa. There's no argument now that he is.
Make an argument.
There's no argument. He's the greatest. And Jameis had 30 interceptions. That's 30 drives that were cut short. Now, if you have Brady throw maybe 10 interceptions this year, that's 20 drives that are going to continue. Maybe 20 more touchdowns that Evans and Godwin catch, which is just ridiculous. So I think he's going to have a really good year. I like what you said about Rivers and T.Y. Hilton. Like, that could be very interesting. But I'm nervous about my Patriots because this Stidham guy. Yeah, I haven't seen enough out of him to be able to say either way.
Well, to be fair, I mean, he's a 4th-round pick. Brady was a 6th-round pick, so you kind of are leveling up a little bit here on the choice in the rounds.
Hey, but you were a 4th-round pick too, John. So I mean, who's to say? There's a lot of talent in that 4th round, obviously.
Clearly. We'll see what happens. I don't see Belichick bringing either of those guys over because I don't think either of those guys are going to be disciplined enough to deal with someone like Bill Belichick. I mean, maybe Jameis. Sorry, not Jameis. Maybe
Cam. I think Cam could handle
maybe
Belichick.
Cam, because I think Cam, for revenge sake, might be able to turn a little bit down. But, Cam likes to wear those outfits. He likes to get the center of attention. Bill will not deal with that. So
that was Tom Brady in a nutshell. You wore, UGG outfits and
True.
Come on.
And talked about balls. That's true. That's a fair point. Let's see. Garth McMurray donated. He said, Jeff, with the plans for just exhibition matches and maybe some of the what if matches for months, could there possibly be a match reuniting you and JT as the Patriots? I'd love to see that, even if just for one what if exhibition match. Yeah, Jeff, has that been talked about at all? Have you heard anything? Do you think that's a possibility for you? What's the situation?
Well, first of all, do they even have Wi-Fi up in the North Pole where JT lives with Santa Claus? No, I mean, listen, with all the matches digitally now, there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to compete with JT or against JT. I just want to see JT back in the Schmoedown. Whoever we get him is fine by me. I hope it happens, but I haven't been privy to any plans. Christian's been very busy with SEN, so I haven't heard too much about the Schmoedown of late.
Yeah, there been talked about exhibition matches. He posted about that in the Facebook group. Some people have suggested some matches, and certainly your name has come up for a few of them. My name has come up for a couple of them. So that's a possibility. Certain that they're kicking around. Certainly that they're kicking around. So we'll see. Larry Lee says, "Hey, did they have basketball when Rocha was young?" Very funny. Very funny.
Basketball is the oldest game, and Rocha is the oldest Schmoedown competitor. So, yes.
Yeah,
I think they came out of the womb together.
That's right. That's right. One dome after another. What are your thoughts about Comic-Con being still on? Yeah, what are your thoughts about this? That they won't cancel Comic-Con. So many people are rebelling against this in our sphere online on Twitter, telling them to go ahead and just cancel it. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Spoiler alert, okay? Spoiler alert. Comic-Con's canceled. You know why? It's not because it's Jesus Christ.
Sorry about that.
Talent is not going to Comic-Con. That is the last place you want to be with 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 nerds. Who knows when the last time any of them showered was. Okay, so maybe, first of all, I think ticket sales would absolutely take a hit. I don't think that they would sell out Comic-Con. I think people would still be skeptical to go, skeptical to even travel to San Diego by plane. Even if you did sell enough tickets to put on the con, how, what talent is going to go down there? What A-list stars? Like, it's just that's the problem is you can't get these people to go anywhere now.
Who's going to risk it? Exactly. I agree with you. Hey, listen, we got almost 200 of you watching us live. Please swing on over, hit that like button. Get me to over 150 likes on this before we wrap this thing up. We're at 138. So let's get to 150, get as close to 200 as possible before we wrap this thing up in about 15 minutes and shut it down for this week on Mornings with the Outlaw. And I can't thank Jeff Sneider enough for stopping by, dude. It's always great to see you. It's always great to touch base with you. So thanks, man, for taking the time. Let's move on to another live person here. And that is Ruber. What's up, Ruber? How you doing, brother, man?
I'm doing good. So since y'all started talking about sports, last time I was on, we did our top 5 all-time NBA. I want to hear Snyder's list. If he had a list.
Oh, yeah, on Game Time. Yeah.
Yeah. Top 5. What would be your starting 5 all time? And I think we had two replacements, 2 reserves.
Yeah. Let's clarify that. That was on the Game Time, the episode of Game Time we did this past Monday. I put it out there because there was a lot of sports news. I put it out there. What would be your starting 5 team that you would create out of all the greatest NBA players of all time to go against any other team that you think would win? Like, what is your starting 5 ever?
I mean, that's really tough. I mean, so Jordan is your shooting guard, right? Obviously. Right. Where is Larry Bird? Is Larry Bird a power forward or he's a small forward?
Mm-hmm.
Where is he? I'm asking.
It's up to you. It's your team.
It
you can do what you. Yeah, it depends on where you want to put him on your team. He's on my bench.
Being from Boston, Larry Bird's on the team. So I think I would make Larry the small forward. I think the power forward would be like probably Duncan. I think I'd have him at the 4, not the 5. The 5 would probably be Bill Russell or Wilt.
Okay.
Tough to put Kareem over either of them. And then for like, the point guard, it's like, do you want a scoring point guard or do you want someone like Stockton, who I just think is like the best pure point guard? But like, could Stockton play with Jordan and Duncan, or was he just like him and Karl Malone had that relationship and pick and roll perfected? So I guess it would be Magic at the 1. I'd want Magic, Michael, Bird. Yeah, power forward. I guess I'd go Duncan. And I'd go Bill Russell just because I'm a Celtics guy, but most people would probably say Wilt.
No love for LeBron at all?
Okay.
For who?
Yeah, where's LeBron? LeBron. Oh wow!
I mean, if you have, no. I mean,
All right.
What would LeBron be? He'd be the small forward, or what would he
He'd
be?
be the power forward. You move
Yeah,
Duncan
the
to
power
center.
forward, yeah.
That's what I did.
So LeBron at 4 and Duncan at the 5. I guess you could
Yeah.
you could get away with that. As long as I don't have to give up Larry Legend's spot, I'm fine with anything. Because you need shooting, you need a white guy.
Fair enough.
I'm the white
Steph
guy.
Curry can shoot.
Oh, he's light skinned enough? Okay.
Larry Legend, there's a reason that basketball Jesus is Larry Joe Bird.
Fair enough. All right, man. Thanks for your question, dude. Really appreciate it,
Good
bud. Good to see you.
It.
Yeah. Jeff, I got to get you on that sports show. If you ever have a couple hours on a Monday to come on with us, man, or even an hour, I'd love to get you on the sports show, man. That's been developing and really good, really great response from the fans, dude. We over 2,000 views on each one of those shows. Really surprised at how much that still carried over from what we established at Collider Sports. So great to see it happening on my channel.
It's great to see you continue it, John, because I think you started building something special at Collider Sports. So I'm glad you haven't given up on it.
No, I love it. It's what I really want to do when it's all said and done. You know that I've talked to you about it a million times. I love movies. I love entertainment. Love talking about it. Sports is where I feel the most 100% comfortable talking about whatever and hosting shows about it. So that's certainly going to be the focus. It was going to be the focus before all this coronavirus stuff happened. But what I've kind of focused on now is creating these reels for both hosting regular stuff and hosting sports stuff. Now that I have all this time watching through the stuff and kind of picking clips out and putting it all together. So we'll see what the future holds, but certainly something exciting to look at. Let's see here. Yeah. So guys, there's no Streamlabs, no super chats up just yet. So I want to ask you another thing, Jeff, as we go into the tail end of the show. How do you see this affecting the business overall? The coronavirus thing, the delays, all this. Do you think we're going to see now this idea that we've been speaking about before this even happened, which was the slow march to death of a majority of movie theaters and a majority of movies coming out in the movie theaters that are not tentpole pictures, that are not big blockbuster movies? Do you think this accelerated that timetable or didn't affect it at all?
That's a tough question. I mean, I'm a big believer in theatrical, and I do believe that theaters will rise again. I think that there's very special about that communal experience, about seeing a movie on a big screen. Like, if I had to watch movies, if you're telling me for the rest of my life I'm watching movies in my living room, I would be pretty depressed. I don't think that this is the death of theatrical. You know, people have been saying, well, you know, now that, you know, the windows have been broken. The windows were never broken, okay? When you take away a theatrical window, then you haven't broken the window. The window just doesn't exist. So, you know, all the people saying that the sky is falling on theatrical, I think that is short-sighted. I do think this is going to have gigantic ramifications for the industry. There's going to be some companies that don't make it out of there. You know, like a studio can pivot and say, all right, well, we're going to put this on streaming. We're going to move this to sell this movie like Paramount did with the Lovebirds to Netflix. But theaters don't have any recourse. And so some of them who are going to be forced to continue paying rent on you know, various theaters across the country. I mean, I don't know what the deal is with the bailout. I haven't been keeping track of all that, if theater owners are going to get bailed out or not. You know, the theatrical landscape could absolutely look a lot different when the dust settles on this, for sure, and that is scary to think about. You know, as far as everything else, I think you know, you're going to see leaner and meaner staffs. People are going to realize through this, hey, we can have these people working from home. We don't need to be spending a ton of money on a nice fancy office. You know, you're seeing it in TV with writers' rooms. Like, our network's going to spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 opening up a writer's room when they can just do a virtual Zoom room. I do think that there's something lost in translation there. But at the same time, you know, it's cost effective. So the industry is really learning where the fat is at this time, and you know, I'd like to think that it's going to come back with the same grandeur and largesse that we know Hollywood for. You know, the big parties and you know, but you're definitely learning, like, there's a lot of stuff in this business that we don't need, that you don't need, and I don't know if we'll see it again when this is all done.
I think that's what scares everybody across the board. This idea that, well, did we really need all these people to do this thing? And you're seeing layoffs and furloughs going across the board. I'm not going to speak about an outlet I'm no longer at, but I know that happened as well recently. So there have been a number of people that have been let go or moved on from the situation because of the financial implications of it. So I don't think we're done with it yet. And I agree with you. It may just be a change across the board, but then eventually it'll start to, feel itself out a little bit more, but maybe leaner might be better overall, because then other people who are maybe desperate to create something else can go on and create something else now in this market and in this situation. Whatever negative stuff that is happening, there's always a possibility of a silver lining. It depends on how prepared you are for it and how much you work hard to make that happen, I think, as well. And a little bit of luck. You can't deny that as well. Sang wanted to know, did they talk about South by Southwest and Amazon? We did earlier in the program. So if you're just joining us now, you can rewind back and watch that once the program is over. We did address that 100%. One thing I did want to address before we wrap up, Jeff, and I don't know what your thoughts on this. The news came out. Let me bring this gentleman's face up here. The news came out that Joby Harold is now tapped to write the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series at Disney Plus. Of course, this got pushed back when Hossein Amani left the project in January. This guy, Joby, recently executive produced John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. He's writing Zack Snyder's film for Army of the Dead. He was one of the two writers in the writer's room with James Vanderbilt, who was selected to develop a new take on the Transformers franchise, and he has a first look deal with Legendary Television. Jeff, I go back to you on this one. Do you know about him? Do you like him? Do you think he's a good choice for this situation? Oops. But what's your overall thoughts on this? I'm trying to find my overlay. Sorry. There we go. What's your overall thoughts on this?
I don't love it. I mean, again,
okay.
I don't really think that Disney Plus is chasing a ton of top tier talent that isn't actors. Like, as far as filmmakers go, they're definitely giving a lot of people their first chances. And Joby Harold is obviously hired on some big properties around town. It's not like the guy's Aaron Sorkin or anything. I'm not the biggest fan of his work or his credits. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. But yeah, I've been writing about him and Safe House Pictures and Tori Tunnell for I don't know, a good decade or so, and I just never have been super enthusiastic about the things that he's been working on. So
I'm a
mixed negative.
I'm a little concerned about this too, Jeff. His resume doesn't scream to me success overall. It's a spotty resume. Yes, he's on big projects, but they've also not had the best results overall when he's been involved with them. So you kind of wonder, and he's not like he's not been writing stuff for a very long time. So you wonder what he's going to do. With
he's been writing a long time. It's just, you don't always get credit on the stuff that you're working on.
Fair enough.
He's really, something of a script doctor. So he's probably had his hand in countless projects. The movies that he has gotten credit on that haven't maybe worked out great, that's not all on him. That's not all on the writer. But yeah, I definitely would be more enthused by other choices for sure.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. Because, I mean, Ewan McGregor said that the scripts, when this whole push happened, Ewan said the scripts were fine. We're just trying to tweak them to get them even better. And he said there's nothing to worry about here. Maybe this is the right move. Maybe it's the wrong move. But either way, we're going to find out once this thing goes into production.
What does it matter? Like, what does it matter what Ewan McGregor said about the scripts? Like, he's still taking the money. He doesn't give a shit if they're good or bad, guys. He really doesn't. He's getting paid either way. That's what he has to say. When they stick a microphone in your face, what do you expect Ewan McGregor to say? Of course, they're really good. I read them. They were really good. We just want them to get better.
Look, I've seen actors spill tea, man. They do sometimes every once in a while spill that tea and they got to backtrack. So yes, I hear what you're saying, but it has happened before. So just putting that out there real quick. And this is before we finish out, we should definitely give a little love to the unfortunate passing this morning of Bill Withers. He passed at 81 years old. 81's good. I'm good at 81 myself personally. Some people know him from the legendary Lean On Me song, the classic oldies song, but also Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone. That's been the staple of so many movies. Also, I like Another Day. That's another one that he did that was fantastic. And of course, he had that 1980s song as well, Just the Two of Us, which was he sang on that song, which was brilliant. So 81 passed away from heart complications on Monday. So that's such a shame to see that, but much love to him and to his family. And I'm sure you enjoyed his music over the years, Jeff Sneider, Bill Withers.
Sure. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Right there. It's beautiful poetry.
I think,
I liked his stuff. I liked Adam Schlesinger's stuff from
Fountains of Wayne.
Fountains of Wayne.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're going to be seeing a lot of, and I know Bill Withers wasn't related to the coronavirus or anything, but unfortunately, we're going to be seeing a lot of those kinds of stories.
The Marcellus patriarch, he passed away a couple of days ago from the complications of the coronavirus as well. So, we're going to see more of that coming down the pike, unfortunately. So it's not just movie theaters and movies that get delayed. It's also like real life people that we have watched or other people have watched and enjoyed for years who are going to suffer from this. So that's why we try to bring a little light, little joy, little fun. Jeff and I busting balls, having fun at each other's expenses. Try to give you all of that with the entertainment I do here on the Outlaw Nation show. And I can't thank so many of you for joining me this morning live. We had almost, like I said, over 200 of you. We got over 150 likes, 161 likes. Thank you all so much for doing that. Really appreciate it. Mad love to all of you. And Jeff, please plug everything you've got going on. And again, thanks for joining me.
I've got a review of Coffee and Kareem going up on Collider today. I know we don't want to promote Collider too much on this show.
I didn't say any of that.
I know what you were thinking. It's
okay. You what you want.
It's the new Ed Helms movie on Netflix. I've got an interview with an actor from Ozark coming up this weekend. I thought the new season of Ozark was fantastic. God, I've been watching so much TV, guys. A lot of it's under embargo, but I will let this one slip. Chris Evans' new show, Defending Jacob, is excellent. So you should all sign up for Apple TV Plus and get on that before the end of April. I'm on Cameo. I've done a couple cameos, guys. Hit me up on Cameo. Otherwise, at The Insneider on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you so much for having me, Johnny.
Dude, it's always good to see you, brother, man. And don't forget, today on the Schmoedown Entertainment Network, they are dropping The Odd Couple versus Who's the Boss for everybody to watch. It was a patron match on Tuesday. Now it's available today. No spoilers. It's available today for people to watch on the Schmoedown Entertainment Network. So don't forget to do that as well. All right. Follow Jeff wherever he's available. Give him some love. Send him some love. I thank you all. Follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram, as you see below. Don't forget my Patreon above, www.patreon.com/John Rocha. Just did some hangouts. Maybe Jeff will come on and do a special hangout down the road on Patreon with me. That'd be a lot of fun. Things of that nature. Got so much coming down the pike. And don't forget all the content I have here on the Outlaw Nation channel. And subscribe down below. Over 12,400 subscribers. Would like to get to 20,000 subscribers as soon as possible. And all of that. All right. Have yourselves a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Be healthy. Oh, Jesus. They're great. I don't advocate what he's doing. Do all the great things you need to do. Be safe and healthy. Wash your hands. And we'll talk to you next time on Mornings with